All right, so let's begin while creating the fluid container for our bigger scale explosions. Okay, first we will be creating the bigger scale explosions, and then based upon that, we'd like to create the ground dust impact. Okay, so we're gonna go for the fluids and 3D container. I'm just gonna put that up along the line of the grid, and with very simple settings, like to go to the outliner, and let me just gonna you know, name them up. Let's say the bigger underscore particles, and let's say we're gonna name that up. Let's say big underscore dust explosions. All right, we are good to start. Now I'm gonna select the particles and the container. Then I'd like to go for the fluids and let's say add edit contents, and we'll go for the emit from the object, keeping the emitter type to the Omni only, and we're not going to utilize the fuel inside here. So I'm just going to go for the 0. And the point to be considered is that the fluid drop off is also set to be 0. We just don't want the fluid to get start, you know, dying fast. So we just don't want the fluid drop off at this point of time. So let us say apply and close. Okay. So without any settings, if you just trying to play that up, you may could see that, okay, the reaction is pretty much like that. But let me just gonna draw your attention towards a very important point, and that is the, no doubt, the resolutions, but also another great thing, apart from the auto resize, of course. I'm gonna just come back. Okay, I just gonna come back to all these individual properties just in some few seconds. But the most important thing here is the impact of the particles. First of all, you may could see in front of me that the particles are just being, uh, moving in a very different way, which is obviously not the way I want in this reaction. And since I've utilized the auto resize just for some, demonstration purpose, I would like to, first of all, make them the none and accept this. I'd like to go for -y. And now just play the timeline. Okay. So this is basically the overall reactions. That is fine. Perfect. The problem here is that we haven't, utilized uh, the motion streaks of the particles, because the particles are really, these are the fast moving particles, so they do require some motion streak to cancel up with the if I gonna go to the max distance and reduce this attribute, you're gonna notice something. This is a kind of a very weird problem inside the fluid whenever you're dealing with any of the fast moving objects. Well, you might be wondering that why this particular option wasn't appearing in the beginning, because in the beginning, this is now concentrate here, this being the basic emitter attributes. Now, every particle is being the source of the emission of the fluid, which is the Omni container, which is the Omni, you can say, the fluid emitter, and this being the max distance, okay, the distance from which the fluid will going to get emit. If I'm gonna put that thing to zero point 0.5 and play the stuff again, you may go see that there's a very bad kind of a stamp issue which is coming over here. So just to address this, we need to take the help of something called as a motion streak. So this we're gonna avoid these things, okay? So if I'm gonna play that up, you may go see that, okay, now these problems have been resolved. And also we're gonna, we're going to take some few more other attributes to solve this particular problem. And in this case, particularly now, like I'm just start building my fluids and all. First of all, we'll need to increase the rate percent. Let's say we'll go for the 400, because since the fluids being very less inside our reaction, so I just want them to be in this particular way. And here you can see that our reaction is going in a kind of in this way. This is the impact which we're going to create Some of the fluids are moving in upward direction, some of the fluids are being moving in downward reaction, but all of them are indicating a kind of an impact. Okay, so pretty much okay, it's not a problem. Now, the next thing will going to be how do we going to work upon the size of the fluids. Okay, first of all, we like to take care of some few more attributes before we proceed. I like to take the density over here as a 3 and the heat and also 3. In this case, I'm not going to utilize any fuel because I just spoken in the beginning that we're not going to utilize or we're not going to create any kind of the gasoline or you can say the petrol explosions or a kind of a flashover. So in that case, there's an attribute, very important attribute called as the air to fuel ratio. So in this case, we are not going to use that fuel. And apart from that, also fuel here shouldn't be confused with any kind of, you can say, liquid thing that we're going to mix up inside the fluids and then create some reactions. No, it is the property of the fluid container in which the intelligent programmers of our, fluid, the makers of the fluid, or you can say the developers of this technology, introduced a term called the fluid, which basically mixes up with the temperature and it's gonna provide the additional heat. So if you can start using your own logics, the more the heat is, the more aggressive becomes the explosions. Apart from that, there are many other things also, but we're not going to go inside that direction because since the usage of the fuel is totally not considerable in this particular course. Okay, so we're not going to just more focusing towards the fuel. All right, moving forward, we also do need to give some more turbulence to our particles because these kind of reactions are highly turbulent. So I would like to go 10 as a value, and turbulence speed I like to go for completely 1, frequency zero point 0.2, zero point 0.5, and again zero point 0.2. I like to go for the detailed turbulence as the 1. Okay, so now here you can see that some interesting things are being taking place if we'll start creating the impact with the turbulence and all. And here also you can see that the fluids are being uh, getting rising upwards, but this is really 10% of the story. This is nowhere standing kind of explosion, you can say. So what are the other attributes we need to work upon? Well, the other attributes are simply the speed. This is really very important section. In the Maya, the emission speed attributes will also going to control the direction of the fluids. Okay, we don't need to provide any emitters. We don't need to provide the turbulence fields, or you can say some additional velocity vectors to control and to drive the motion of the fluids. These are also self-sufficient in that way. So for this particular reaction, I'm going to take the help of the add. We're going to add some additional velocity to the fluid. The inherent velocity is going to be zero point 0.5. Okay, so this is going to create something better impact and you're going to learn that thing shortly. Okay, so for this particular case, this reaction is being quite okay. I would like to take a pause over here and would like to see you in the next lesson. Okay.